This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're gonna acknowledge me.
And welcome everybody to the Week in Review on this Saturday. Actually, it is as I record this. Another week where it's a little bit early than usual, but I'm glad I'm able to be here as we roll towards 1 week away from Clash in Paris. It's lining up to be a pretty big show. We got a hint of Brock Lesnar at the end of SmackDown that we don't know anything other than having Nick Aldis tell John Cena, I heard from Brock Lesnar, and then wham, the lights went out from Logan Paul. So we don't know what that's going to mean. It could have meant that he's warned John Cena he could be a Clash in Paris. It could mean that he's targeting John Cena for a September 20th event of the WrestlePalooza. Boy, that's I don't like that name. But that's probably where it's headed, as John Cena and Logan Paul are doing a one-off. And then it's clearly Brock Lesnar that's going to be in the sights of John Cena and vice versa as they head to WrestlePalooza. My estimate is that it could also mean that Brock Lesnar appears at Clash in Paris. I wouldn't put too much stock in it. Brock Lesnar is notorious for despising travel and people and all the rest, which is not exactly the best attributes to have in his line of work, but hey, he's making millions and still, working a minimal schedule. So what do I know? But Brock Lesnar could show up at Clash in Paris. All of our preview and predictions will be coming later this week as we go towards the event on Saturday. And it should be a pretty big event. Obviously going to be a hot crowd, as was the Dublin, Ireland crowd for the SmackDown that just aired last night, or at least aired here in the States last night. If you were overseas, it was much earlier, in which case you loved it, and it probably could do that every week. We got a great review from Amanda. If you haven't already checked it out, Amanda reviewed SmackDown last night and did a great job, and encourage you to check it out. It should be in the feed right before this show. But I'd also encourage you, while I'm on the platform of encouraging people, to check out the Patreon site, because that offers an ad-free experience and offers a lot more as well. The Patreon side of things is a good place to be on a PLE week, because you can connect with other patrons and you can get everything ad-free, which is really what this is all about, right? That's the main benefit. You don't have to hear any ads at patreon.com/WWE podcast. So check that out as we get closer to Clash in Paris, and consider giving us a trial also on Apple. Apple Podcasts has the same deal. So, well, let's get into it. Let's get into SmackDown, as Amanda already gave her review, but I'll give mine as well. Double up on this and then touch on Raw and some final thoughts as we get into a big week here in WWE world. So we had, as I said, SmackDown air from Dublin, Ireland. Dublin, not Dublin, at 3 Arena. And it streamed live internationally on Netflix, and it aired on delay on the USA Network. So, yeah, again, if you were in the non-United States part of the world, then you were able to get a nice, beautiful time for this SmackDown to be aired. But it starts off with the broadcast team of Joe Tessitore, who I think is doing, I got to commend the guy. He's doing a great job. I appreciate it. He's all business. He does the best to hype up everything. He's got just a solid announce voice. Is he the greatest of all time? No. But he is certainly better than the revolving door that WWE was going through over many, many years. So I like the pair of Wade Barrett and Joe Tessitore, who are no nonsense, all business. And Wade does add the quote color to the commentary, but Joe Tessitore is a very solid lead on that whole deal. Piloting the airplane, or whatever analogy you want to use. So we had Becky Lynch come out while being introduced by announcer Mark Nash, and the crowd popped pretty big for Becky Lynch. And, of course they did. She's from Ireland. Boy, they would have loved her first gimmick. Remember her first gimmick? Remember Becky Lynch's first gimmick? She would come out doing an Irish jig. I'm not kidding. It will provide first-class, second-hand embarrassment. If you are brave enough to watch it, go just Google or YouTube Becky Lynch's NXT debut. It's pretty horrific. It's hard for me to watch because it's so forced, and it's like the only thing she had going for her is like, oh, I'm from Ireland. Let's just play on a stereotype. That's her whole deal. That was her whole deal. It's amazing. And she went from that horrific, embarrassing. Again, it will provide embarrassment to you, even though you had nothing to do with it. Just by watching, just by your eyes on that, I'm telling you, you will feel embarrassment. You may even blush watching it. It's pretty bad. But it's obviously a great story coming from that to where she is now and all the accomplishments in between and main eventing WrestleMania for the first time for the women and all that. So big pop, as expected, from the Ireland crowd. And she said, look at us, lads. We're on the telly. Yeah. I'm so, I know this is going painfully slow for a review, but there's like certain things I have to just hammer as an American, okay? And look, I appreciate all the international fans. We have a lot of them. Does anybody actually call it the telly? Please tell me you don't. Is that a real thing, or is she just also playing up more stereotypes of how Irish people speak? I know they say lads. I know wanker is another one. To me, that sounds so soft. I don't know. I guess just being an American, I'm sure some of the things we say, if you had a conversation with somebody from overseas that just never really speaks to people from America, you'd be like, oh, what? You say what? That's weird. It's all cultural differences, but telly? I don't know. Sounds childish to me. But hey, again, I'm sure the things I say to the people that are listening to me are like, is this guy like, he could be diagnosed. What's his IQ? Room temperature? Yeah, I'm sure. But hey, I am respectful of how other people live, but I also am very happy with where I live, if that makes sense. Okay, she boasted that Becky did, the first ever WWE live broadcast from Dublin. And Lynch recalled attending a WWE event in the same venue and said it made her life that Randy Orton made eye contact with her. And Becky Lynch turned on the crowd by telling them that they don't deserve it. And she said she petitioned backstage to have the show canceled, and a "We Want Lyra" chant broke out, which is pretty incredible. Nobody wants Lyra in that position except, sorry guys, Dublin. Lynch said they weren't going to get her because she'll never get another shot at Lynch's title, and thank God for that. Because, hey, again, outside of that venue in that particular area of the world, nobody wants to see it anymore. Like, we're done with it. But Lynch said she's aghast at the lack of media coverage she's getting in Ireland. She said, "I'm your hero." A "shut the F up" chant broke out that was kind of censored, and then Lynch ran through some of her credentials and boasted about how she has a very hot American husband. And that's when Tiffany Stratton comes out and said that Lynch could leave or would make her leave on behalf of everyone in Dublin. Nia Jax comes out and questioned why Stratton was bothering with Lynch, and Jax entered the ring and said Stratton has bigger problems. Jax knocked down a distracted Stratton, and then Lynch joined Jax and put the boots to Stratton. Jade Cargill comes out and cleared Jax from the ring, and then Lynch tried to sneak up on Jade, who turned around and then squared off with Lynch, and then Nia climbed on the apron behind Jade. Stratton returned to the ring and drop-kicked Jax off of the apron. Nick Aldis comes out and said he thought it would be fun to have Lynch in Ireland. He said he spoke about it with Raw general manager Adam Pearce, who signed off on making Stratton and Jade versus Lynch and Jax a tag team main event. So, once again, we have a crossover with no logic. Okay, the logic is Becky's from Ireland, but okay, fine. Are we just going to go with everybody gets to go to the opposite brand if that opposite brand is in their home country? I will continue to hammer this. Yes, the horse is beyond dead. It's just ash at this point. I know. That's fine. but it deserves to not go unnoticed. And WWE needs to be held accountable if they're going to pretend that these brand rules are going to mean anything. But I'm fine with Lynch being there if they had any just moniker of respect for the rules that they put into place. So we did have this tag team match. And hey, for Jade, she got a decent pop. And I think a lot of that is because, number one, this is a hot crowd for pretty much everybody. And Jade wasn't speaking on the mic, which, as much as she needs to advance her career, if she wants to get off this plateau that she's been on for a long time now, she does need to improve her mic skills, but probably for the best in this particular situation, she just came out and does what she does best, and that's just, toss people around. But boy, does Jade, she's in I know the segment wasn't about Jade, really. It was about Becky and the tag team main event and the kind of tension between Jax and Stratton, and that's still there, and all the rest, and Jade and Stratton obviously have had a match. So there's a lot of dynamics going on there, but WWE needs to just figure out what to do with her, because if they're going to keep her here but then somehow try to position her as a champion, as a babyface, it's not going to happen. Well, it can happen, but the fans are going to outright reject it, as they have and have shown you that they will with the Jax and the Tiffany Stratton and Jade Cargill matchup for the Women's Championship, that the fans were just nowhere near ready to anoint Jade as their champion. So, again, I'm rooting for Jade to get there, but they need to let her sink or swim. Just put her on the mic. I'm fine with no mic in this case because you're minimizing her weaknesses, maximizing her strengths. I'm just saying long term, overall, she needs to get on the mic more. She has to. But that's not her strong point. Okay. Motor City Machine Guns take on Carmelo Hayes and The Miz. The match went 7.5 minutes with Carmelo and The Miz beating Motor City Machine Guns, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin. The finish, it's kind of what we've been seeing with The Miz and Carmelo Hayes, which is the other team gets some signature offense. Hayes hit Sabin down and went to the ropes for the finish, but Miz tagged himself in once again as Hayes dropped down and then bigger with Miz, and then Sabin sent Hayes into Miz, who fell off the apron. Carmelo put Sabin down, and then Shelley clotheslined Hayes over the top rope and dove onto him, and then Miz came to the ring and pinned Sabin. Again, it's rinse and repeat here with Carmelo and The Miz. We all know eventually what's going to happen here, and that is Carmelo Hayes turning on The Miz, as he probably should, and putting Carmelo into a position for a run. That's been The Miz's role for about a decade now, he is the guy that should, he works with newer talent, works with guys that WWE is about ready to push, and he puts them over in a big way. And there's something to be said for that. I give Miz all the credit in the world. But I've heard so many people say, ex-wrestlers say, that The Miz is one of the most underrated talents in WWE. Fans don't realize how good he is. No, we do. And guess what? Our opinion means more because we're the ones that in practice actually decide who gets cheered, who gets pushed, who doesn't. Now WWE will fight us on that, and WWE and fans have had a kind of simmering rivalry over the last number of years. But in general, what we're sold is the fans make the decisions, even though that's not quite true. It's in principle it's true. And in the end, usually we do win here. So my point is that while people say The Miz, again, top wrestlers, ex-wrestlers have said this, that he's underrated, I don't think he is. We know what The Miz is. He's a guy that can go well in the ring. He helps out new talent. He hasn't aged in 15 years. People still view him as a YouTube, or rather a real world talent. And he occasionally will touch a mid-card title belt and then get dropped back, and he's decent for a promo. But I don't know. If The Miz was so damn good, and we're told that he's so damn good, wouldn't he have been, a world champion for a significant amount of time at this point? So I guess, I don't know. I'm not crapping on The Miz, but I think with how long he's been here, we would know what we have. And I think the fans have decided on what we have with The Miz. And that's a solid talent that you can use kind of anywhere. Okay. So Kathy Kelly congratulated Jimmy Uso on the pregnancy news and also wished him a happy birthday. And Jimmy spoke about all the love that he and Naomi had been getting from everyone. Sami Zayn entered the picture and gave Jimmy a big hug. And Zayn said he cried his eyes out when he heard the news and said the baby would always have him as an uncle. And that's the U.S. champion Solo Sikoa showed up with Tala Tonga, JC Mateo, and Tangaloa. And Solo said the baby would have plenty of uncles in his family. Solo also gave Jimmy the blessing of being able to name the baby after his favorite uncle Solo. And Sammy told Solo to worry about his title rather than naming other people's babies. Solo mockingly asked if he should worry about underdog Zayn. And Zayn said he should worry about WrestleMania main eventer Sami Zayn. Okay, so are we really going with this? I mean, they keep pushing this. I'm telling you, they are right now, as the kids would say, low-key, making Sami Zayn the favorite to win next year's Royal Rumble. It's not locked in stone. I'd say he is right now one of the top favorites. He should be in the conversation of the top 3 at least. They keep and have been pushing this narrative of you can't win the big one, you won't win the big one, you will, you won't. And then him having to question his confidence and how he views himself and all the rest. They're telling a story here. And I would imagine it's leading to a payoff at WrestleMania or at Royal Rumble to lead to WrestleMania for Sami Zayn. That's how it looks right now. Now, if you talk to me in December or January, this may sound ridiculous because who the hell knows what's going to happen. There's certainly some cases to be made for other talent on the roster other than a veteran like Sami Zayn. But it's just been simmering in the background for a long time now. And you'd think that there's going to be a payoff here. Okay, Charlotte then takes on Piper Niven. The match went about the same length here, about 7 minutes and 45 seconds. Piper beats Charlotte, but here's how it happened. Flair put Niven in the figure 4. Alba Fire distracted the referee while Green raked the eyes of Flair, and then Niven followed up with a Michinoku driver and got the 3 count. The Michinoku driver is great, I have to say. The Michinoku driver is, the way she delivers it with such force is awesome. It's not just like a scoop slam sit down. She drives her opponent into the mat, and does a nice job. She's a big woman, obviously, taller than most, bigger than most, in terms of just mass, and she has a great finish. I love that finish, and it was believable that she was able to beat Charlotte here and get a little momentum. You know, if they ever wanted to do something with Piper Niven beyond just having her be a side character, they absolutely could. She's got more to offer than what we're seeing. She doesn't ever really get to speak. Even when she does, I mean, I've seen it's been decent, but they've got something on their hands with Piper, and right now she's playing a side role. But to have her get a victory over Charlotte Flair, is that a sign of things to come? Who's to say? It could simply be that it's not really about Piper getting the victory so much as it is Chelsea costing Charlotte the match. And that's probably what the narrative is, but certainly the biggest win of Piper Niven's career. So, backstage, U.S. champion Julia is speaking with Kiana James, and Michin shows up. Michin told Julia that she wanted an appointment with the champion. James recalled telling Michin that she had to go through her, and Michin said she was tired of the missed calls and appointments, so she opted to go straight to the champion. And James repeated that Michin had to go through her first, and Michin said she was happy about getting 2 matches. She said she would go through James to get to Julia, and she's not who said she's not worried. We then have an ad for Monday's Raw in Birmingham, England, and noted that Roman Reigns will open the show. It's a big deal. Big deal there. Ratings pop for sure there. A video package then talked about WWE's PLE deal with ESPN. And then John Cena. big reaction here. A classic John Cena entrance. Thank God the heel run is done. And we have Logan Paul immediately interrupt. Without even John Cena being able to say a word, Logan Paul interrupts. An F you Logan chant broke out. And this was a fairly long promo here. He talked about how the Irish people are all drunk, washed up failures, and said that if he spat in their faces, they'd do nothing, and called them little leprechauns, which is funny, and told the fans to shut up several times. Talked about how he's going to keep it real with Cena, and how he's a professional, a pretender, and an actor who knows how to wrestle. And the crowd was chanting more profanities. And people, Paul said people on the internet would call him an outsider. He said he's been doing it for 4 years. Every match he's had has been great, and he's doing it for longer than half the people on the roster. And said he's exactly who he says he is, where Cena is a corporate punk who does whatever he's told. And Paul said he does what he wants and doesn't have to go and get naked at the Oscars to get attention if he wants it. And Paul asked the fans whether he or Cena were the imposter. A wanker chant broke out. What does wanker even mean? Like, what's the American equivalent of the word wanker? Am I cussing right now? I mean, is it just like a D-bag? I'm guessing D-bag is the American equivalent of wanker. I really don't want to have to Google this or chat GPT it. just somebody needs to tell me, like, what is the actual, like, if you, I mean, I know it's not a term of endearment. I know it's supposed to be an insult. It's not something nice you call somebody. If I was over in Ireland and I was like, yeah, what's up, wanker? Like, that's not a good thing. I understand that. So I'm trying to ask somebody who is over there, if you want to put it in an email to me, this is a very strange email request. If you're from Ireland, what is the American equivalent of calling somebody a wanker? All right, this is getting weird. So let's continue. And Paul said Cena has been doing the same 5 moves for 23 years. Yeah, referring to the 5 moves of doom that people have hammered him for a while now. So that's nothing revolutionary. He said, this is my house now. And then Cena comes on the mic, told fans that Paul has an undeniable presence. He's a tremendous athlete. He said he believes those things to be true, but that's why it upsets him. And he said the fans kept calling Paul an outsider, and they need to course correct because we're stuck with him. And Cena said Paul isn't an outsider, he's a disappointment. And said he was so excited when Paul started that he spent hours talking with him on his podcast. And said that, he slid to ringside and stood behind the Prime stand, and Cena said Paul used WWE as a branding opportunity to buy another Pokemon card, and then Cena tipped over the hydration station card and returned to the ring. Got a big pop there. And he said Paul had the audacity to brag that he put his life on the line in 23 matches. Cena said that's a magic number because he put his heart and soul into WWE for 23 years. And Cena said it wasn't just pay-per-views or televised events. He said he made non-televised appearances in Dublin and recalled facing Sheamus when no cameras were present. Well, yeah, that's what you do, man. That was in 2010. John Cena was still running the territory, so to speak, at that point. Yeah, non-televised events, that happens quite frequently. But Cena said the only question he asks is, what can he give to the business? And Cena said the fans can see that Paul is slimy. He said Paul has one question, is what can I take from the business? And he said, no matter what you do, people see through it. And he labeled Paul a parasite who sucks everything he can away from the business. He listed the names of the wrestlers he'd rather be facing than Paul. He said AJ Styles. He said Paul got lucky to get the match with him because he was the first one to step in line. And Cena said Paul knows a lot about hustle, but he knows nothing about loyalty or respect. And he told him that he better bring his A game because he's going to be facing the greatest of all time. And he dropped the mic, and that was pretty much it, except for Paul shoving Cena. He eventually gets an AA for his troubles. Really good promo from John. I mean, he as the kids would say, I'm trying to act hip here. I'm like the old guy now trying to act hip. He cooked Logan Paul. I mean, he just did. And Logan Paul's decent on the mic. He's better than he should be at this point in his career. For only 23 televised matches, he is damn good on the microphone for how far along he is. He's not better than Cena. Cena is still one of the greatest of all time on the microphone, and he just absolutely destroyed Logan Paul here. And I'm actually going to miss John Cena's promos more than I'm going to miss his in-ring. Because it's in-ring, no one would ever say he's got a 5-star. He's known for 5-star matches. What makes Cena so appealing, and it was made him so appealing, is his connection to the audience, his ability to just roast people in promos, his ability to remember what he wants to say, but yet not go off track in rabbit holes and keep on task. And he's just so good on the mic. He's incredible. So. All right. Backstage, Tiffany Stratton told Jade that she didn't need her help, and Jade said there would be no excuses, and she's coming for the WWE Women's Championship after they take care of Becky Lynch and Nia Jax in the main event. That's when the Street Profits made their entrance with B-Fab, and Logan Paul was then shown walking backstage. He crossed paths with Drew, who said Paul is scared of the mystique of John Cena. McIntyre said it's not 2010, and it's no longer Super Cena. McIntyre said Paul is in his prime and he needs to make things right tonight, no matter what it takes. And Paul was ready to walk away, but Drew stopped him and said, whatever it takes. McIntyre is I don't know, everything about his character is just so much fun. So much fun. All right. The Street Profits, Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins with B-Fab. Yes, she's still there. Takes on JC Mateo and Tonga Loa here. The match went 10 minutes with the Street Profits getting a victory and a really good match. I've hammered the Street Profits for not having any kind of evolution in their characters, and they really haven't. I mean, you look back 8 years now and you're like, oh, yeah, they're pretty much the same dudes. They've come full circle, and I've mentioned that, they did the whole thing with Bobby Lashley, and they were heel for like a hot minute, and they've kind of come back to where they started. But they're still so damn good in the ring. So damn good. And that is one thing that has really kept them afloat, is the charisma of the team, particularly Montez Ford, that we've all been waiting for about a decade to break out, much like Xavier Woods, and go off on his own and do his own thing. But it's the connection they have with the crowd that still somehow exists. It somehow still exists. I don't know how, given the fact that they never get to talk. There's no movement in their characters, no development of their characters, just status quo. And yet they're still living off of their original gimmick for the most part. But the match was good, and it finished here. The finish was Sami Zayn coming out and blasting Solo with a haluva kick. He ran through the crowd when Mateo and Loa went to ringside, and then Montez hit Mateo and Loa with a flip dive. Back in the ring, Dawkins hit sky high on JC Mateo, and Ford then hit the big frog splash, just a beautiful looking frog splash for the victory. And the Street Profits are victorious in 10 minutes. So fun match. All right, Aleister Black was shown shadow boxing, and R-Truth then appeared on screen. He said he had some good news and bad news. Truth said he wouldn't be able to appear tonight because he thought the show was in Dublin, Georgia. And Truth said he made a call to a friend. Damian Priest shows up and brawled with Aleister Black, and Priest cleared the ring and followed him to the floor and dropped him with an uppercut. Priest set up Black to go through the broadcast table, but security ran out and stopped him. Black returned to the ring, and Priest followed, and they continued to fight as security intervened and pulled the wrestlers apart. So, fine. I don't remember. Was there a reconciliation with Truth and Priest? Because I remember a time, not too long ago, when Priest was beating up R-Truth because R-Truth was just not getting it that he's not part of the group, and we had Priest beating him up. So maybe I'm missing and forgot completely this reconciliation between Priest and Truth. I don't have a problem with it. I'm not going to make a big deal of it, because they did have a former bond together up until it fell apart, but still fine, because not only did Truth, have Priest come out if there was some kind of reconciliation, but even if that didn't happen, it made sense that Truth, or rather Priest, would come out because he has had issues separately with Aleister Black. So fun. I mean, at least it has also Aleister Black doing something, which is good. I mean, they bring Rusev back, they bring Aleister Black back, and they're just kind of doing the same stuff that they did when they left. I mean, I don't expect them to be world champions, but you'd think if they brought them back, there'd be some kind of solidified plan for them. Seems like they're just kind of flowing at the seat of their pants there, but Drew McIntyre showed up at ringside and stood behind the broadcast table, and McIntyre asked if they had a medical update on Cody Rhodes, and McIntyre told the crowd he would give them an update, and McIntyre said Cody Rhodes is a little B, and McIntyre told Cody to hold the title belt tight because he would eventually have to fight him, and McIntyre said he's one of the only people in WWE who has pinned Cody, and he's going to take the title. And he asked the crowd to guess how many people backstage told him off. And he said the number was 0 because they all want Cody's spot. Orton enters the ring. Yes, Randy Orton. I didn't even see this coming, but that's what happens with RKOs. They're out of nowhere. And he hit Drew McIntyre with an RKO. Crowd loved it. And that was that. So, nice appearance from Orton. I still really would love Drew McIntyre to beat Cody Rhodes. I have my serious doubts on that, just based on timing and the time of the year, and Cody just won it back and all the rest of that. So it doesn't seem like McIntyre's in position to win the belt. Crazier things have happened, but also the fact you add to the argument against Drew winning is that Triple H generally, but not exclusively, but generally has been one of a belief in booking for longer title reigns. So, okay. We then have the main event here. Now, I know backstage we had Becky Lynch talking to herself. Nia Jax shows up. All the rest. But let's get to it here. So we had actually an announcement by Joe Tessitore for next week's SmackDown in Lyon, France, for Solo Sikoa versus Sami Zayn for the United States Championship. The Street Profits versus Miz and Carmelo for a shot at the tag titles. That's going to be fun, actually. And Alexa and Charlotte versus Piper Niven and Alba Fire for the women's tag titles. So, quite a massive SmackDown. Title matches all over the place in Lyon, France next week. I do remember a time when title matches were very few and far between. They never, almost ever happened on WWE television unless you paid for it, right? I'm PLEs, pay-per-views, as they were then known. I remember a time when that was actually a thing, and they just continue to hammer out title match after title match after title match. And it's not like they have fewer PLEs. In fact, they have more PLEs, but then still give out more title matches on free television. I don't know. This is something that I'm old school, I guess, like that, and I prefer, the very rare occasion. Make it feel special when title matches are on Raw or SmackDown. And instead, it just feels it's not even special anymore. It's an expectation. It's an expectation. That's how far we've come from fans. That you go there, you're like, wait, no titles are on the line? What? That's how far we've come. We've been re-educated and recalibrated to believe that there should always be some kind of title match, if not multiple title matches, on any given live televised event. I am a big anti-proponent of giving away free title matches. At least all the effing time. Okay. I had to have one rant for the night. So we did get the main event here. The fourth match of the night. Jade Cargill and Tiffany Stratton versus Becky Lynch and Nia Jax. The match was quick, though. Just under 7 minutes, with Tiffany Stratton and Jade winning here. And the finish was the fans serenading Lynch with a song that Barrett said would not make her happy once she looked it up online. And late in the match, Lynch walked out after Jax tagged in. Jax set up for her finish, but Jade got to her feet and powerbombed her. Not a great powerbomb, but Jax is quite heavy. Stratton tagged in, hit the prettiest moonsault ever on Jax. Jade tagged in before Stratton hit, and then Jax hit Jax with a top rope splash, and got the 3 counts. So Jade looking strong here. Jade is the one getting the victory. And again, luckily for her, they're in a pretty forgiving place where, it's more about the fans happy to be there. WWE doesn't go all over there very often. And there's kind of that just kind of happy to be here. We don't hate you, so we'll just default cheer you kind of thing. And luckily for Jade, that's the case. But Jade did a decent job here. And I'm hard on Jade. I do focus on her because I want to see her succeed because I see what they see. And we're not getting, after 2 years now, we're not getting much of a payoff from Jade. She's rarely in one-on-one matches. She doesn't talk on the mic as much as she probably should. She's clearly resentful of the fans of her position because I bet you she feels, and this is just my assumption, that she feels that we are responsible for and that we should be cheering her based on just her appearance. She should be champion just based on her physique. Well, I'm sorry to say for Jade, that's only one small piece of the puzzle. Because honestly, even your physique can work against you because you're not that relatable. Your physique, while as impressive as it is, and probably the most impressive women's physique I've ever seen in pro wrestling, bar none, and that's a credit to her, does not in and of itself make you a champion, does not anoint you a champion, does not make you deserving of a championship. It just gets people's attention. And it does. She's a magnetic person, or I didn't even say personality. She's a magnetic presence. That's good. That's big. She's got obviously a physique of a goddess. She does. She's an attractive woman. At least in my mind, she is. I think that's good. There's nothing wrong with beautiful people, right? But outside of that, her in-ring is kind of inconsistent. She's shown hints of greatness and then kind of sloppy short matches. She's on the mic and then she's not. And then when she is, we don't know anything about you. It's just kind of the one-liners that anyone listening to this podcast could deliver. So there needs to be progress with her because she could be a massive force in women's wrestling. And right now she looks like she should be, but she's not. But the problem is looking like you should be doesn't mean you are or make you actually deserving of that. There. 2 rants. I didn't think I'd get it in. Okay, and then as I said, Becky Lynch, or rather, Logan Paul knocks out John Cena. Something mentioned about Brock Lesnar, and then, that was that. So we'll get a little bit more, I'm sure, about Brock, maybe on Raw, maybe not. All right, quick recap of Monday Night Raw. We had... Let's see here. The open. Oh, that's right. We had the open of the Vision coming out, and Heyman delivered an over-the-top introduction for everybody. If you remember, Jey Uso comes out. We had Breakker, who's just the loose cannon of the group, try to be pulled back as Jey's talking about, talking to Breakker and riling him up. And that's when Heyman essentially set up an ECW style Extreme Rules match between Jey Uso and Bron Breakker that ended up being the main event, which is good. So let's see here. We had Iyo Sky take on Raquel Rodriguez on Monday Night Raw. That lasted 11 minutes with Iyo Sky winning. We had Penta beat Xavier Woods in 9 minutes and 50 seconds. We had the World Tag Team Champions Finn Balor and JD McDonough beat Dragon Lee and Mr. Iguana in just under 10 minutes as well in a non-title match. And then after the match, if you remember, there was a beatdown here of Vikingo and the Judgment Day trio standing tall with all their title belts. And then we had, let's go to the next thing. I'm scrolling as fast as I can. There's a lot of backstage stuff, but Becky Lynch versus Natalya for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. Match went 8 minutes with Becky Lynch retaining. And after the match, we had Lynch had come back and attacked Dupree, which was really funny. And Nikki Bella made the heroic save and hit the Rack Attack 2.0 and stood over her. And let's see what else here. We then had Naomi. Oh, that's right. Yeah, Naomi's big announcement, as we all know now, her pregnancy announcement with her and Jimmy, which is, again, congrats to them. I'm happy for them. Selfishly, I want Naomi back as soon as possible to pick up where she left off. We'll see if motherhood changes her mind or if she's anxious to get back and all the rest of it. But I mean, again, being a mother, I'm not a mother, but living with a mother and having 2 kids myself, yeah, I can tell you that it changes your life in ways that people try to tell you and you're just like, yeah, I've heard that, blah, blah, blah. But nothing truly prepares you. Nothing will. You think you do. You think you know what tired is. You think you know what zombie mode is. All the rest. And you think you know what joy is. And then sometimes you see your kids and it's very much a wide range of emotion. And, so my point, all of this being is, not that I'm the end all be all knowledge database of being a parent, just the fact that I know being a parent can change how you view things and what your ambitions are and your priorities change. So I hope Naomi comes back in short order, but that's the selfish fan in me that doesn't care about the other part of that. But the parent in me, the human part of me, outside of being a wrestling fan, understands, hey, we may never see her back again. That's a long shot, but it's possible. It could go anywhere from, hey, I'll be back 2 months, 3 months, or rather probably 6 months after she has a kid at the earliest, to, hey, we see her in a couple of years. Or never. So only Trinity knows that, and we'll figure that out along the way. But it is a big blow from a professional standpoint to the women's division because Naomi was killing it. There was a reason why she was champion. I think she would have held that for a long time to come. We could have even got to next year's WrestleMania with Naomi as champion. She was on fire. She found her identity, and then bam, she gets pregnant. So, just things have changed. Things have changed in a big way. It opens up another opportunity for somebody, and that's how you have to kind of look at it. So, eventful week, but as I said, and as you know, Clash in Paris comes to us next Saturday night, a week from now, as I record this, and my official preview and prediction show will be combined with the mailbag show. I'll get that out early as I can on Friday, and so send your questions or your predictions into me on Friday. I'll try to get to them all. Usually on PLE weeks, there's an overload of emails, so it's hard for me to get everything. If I don't get everyone's email on Friday or voicemail, I will try to put that on my Sunday's weekend review show. That will also be the Clash in Paris review show. So kind of a dual show there. Big week, obviously. The short of it is, there's a lot of wrestling audio coming your way. I hope everybody enjoys it. I'll be back on Tuesday with your your Monday Night Raw review. That will be, I think, a big deal here coming to us from England and Birmingham, England. And so be ready for some hot crowds. And then when they return to the States, we'll come back to kind of a subdued, as I'm sure the European crowds are saying, very boring, lazy United States crowds. We are very much, compared to you guys, we are not as high energy, sustained high energy that you guys bring for hours on end. I don't know how you do it. What I've been wondering is, if you guys are this crazy for WWE, what are your soccer, when you guys call it football, but I'll call it soccer, your soccer games? I mean, is it like this at actual sporting events? Are you guys sustained in this noise level for that long? If so, I have a question. Are you guys actually human beings? Or are you from some distant planet with some magical powers? You've been appointed these powers that your energy levels just don't decline. You've been endowed with some kind of elixir that allows you to just maintain a level of energy that is inhuman. I mean, honestly, I don't know. Maybe there's something in the water over there across the pond. Maybe there is, because when I go to events, even when I was younger and I was in my late teens, early 20s, attending during the late Attitude Era into the Ruthless Aggression era, and big stars were still there. Stone Cold, The Rock, Brock Lesnar in his prime. I mean, I remember screaming and yelling, but like it was never even at the height of wrestling. It would never be that sustained for that long. And you could say, oh, well, Monday Night Raw after WrestleManias. Yeah, we had some like that, but guess where most of the people in the audience came from? Overseas, right? So, I don't know. There's something about you guys. I don't know what it is. I don't know how you sustain that energy for that long, but God bless you. So, alrighty. Well, everybody enjoy the rest of their weekend as we go into next week, and we'll be back with, of course, as I said, the Monday Night Raw review. That'll be coming to you on Tuesday evening. Maybe even a live show. I can do a live show. I've messed around with my Patreon feed, and there's a live button. I can go live directly in Patreon. I don't have to go to some other third-party YouTube, all that. So stay tuned for that, and I'll be going live for patrons later this week. So, all right, everybody, thanks so much. Take care. Talk next time.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.